I am Amaris Vasquez Vargas. Everybody calls me Ami. I am from Education Abroad here at Texas A&M University. I am joined today by two lovely colleagues, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Aurier Varner. I'm Assistant Director in the office. And way back when I was a student, I was the Gilman Scholar. So it's proof you can actually receive a scholarship.
And my name is Drew Crawford. I'm an advisor here in Education Abroad. And I was a Gilman Scholarship Panel reviewer in the last round. So happy to be here as well.
We're also really lucky to have for everyone here today, Daniela Castro, who is a Gilman ambassador. So I'm going to let you say a quick hello.
Hi, everyone. My name is Daniela, as already said, and I look forward to sharing a little bit more about my experience and how I can be of service to you all. So I'll hand the torch back over.
If you do have any questions throughout the session and you don't want to forget, please feel free to continue to use the chat. Drew, Aurier, and Daniela will be monitoring it. They'll either answer as your chats come in, or we'll make sure to go over those as we get to the question session of the presentation. A little bit about what we'll be doing today. We are going to obviously be talking about what the Gilman is, in case anybody isn't fully aware of it yet. We'll go over eligibility requirements and the application process, finally selection criteria, deadlines and timelines coming up for the current cycle and any new cycles. We'll get to hear from the lovely Daniela, our Gilman ambassador, and she'll be going over essay tips for actually completing your application. At the end, you'll have access to our contact information, so you'll get to hear more, connect with us if you need help from Education Abroad, if you'd like to reach out to Daniela or anything like that. So what is the Gilman? This is a program that is run out of the U.S. Department of State, overseen by the Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs. It's been around since 2001. It is specifically administered by the Institute of International Education. Not that you need to know all of those details, but that is some of the background. It is the largest U.S. undergraduate scholarship program that supports U.S. students going abroad on either study abroad or internship abroad opportunities. It is a really great opportunity for students that have high need to actually go abroad in different programs and to diversify those students that are going abroad. The Gilman program has a very far-reaching impact. Again, this is specifically to diversify the students that are currently going abroad on any international program. So underrepresented groups can include first-generation college students, 47% of which have been part of the Gilman program, 65% underrepresented in racial or ethnic minority groups, and over 33,000 students have been served by the Gilman program in areas of high financial need to make these programs possible. They've gone to over 150 countries. There are more than 1,300 U.S. institutions across the nation represented with the program. And more specifically for our Aggies, because that's where we're all here, is 144 former students have actually been selected in the past 5 years to fund their education abroad experience through the Gilman Scholarship Program. So it's pretty great for us, and hopefully it'll be really great for all of you as well. There are many benefits to being a Gilman Scholarship recipient. Following actually being part of the program, you'll become an alumni. This grants you non-competitive eligibility, which means access to different federal government high status programs or not programs, but career offerings that otherwise you would not be eligible for. It is a really great opportunity for all of you. So if you have more questions about what that means, that is included on the website, and we'll give you those details afterwards. There's a great Gilman Scholar network for you to connect with, which not only is it a great opportunity to meet other people, but for career and professional development opportunities as well that will be restricted just to Gilman Scholar alumni. The Alumni Ambassador Program, like Daniela, as you all know and have heard multiple times, we'll be referencing her a lot. We're very excited. It's a great program for you to continue to connect past your actual education abroad program and your follow-on project to continue to engage with students who otherwise may not have had access to study abroad. You'll have access to also some seminars and career workshops to enhance your own skills that you are learning and how to really advance past your academic and career goals. It expands those career possibilities. Like I said, some job offerings may only be posted in certain Gilman job boards, and just continuing that same skill development like language retention and adaptability and all of that, that's going to be really key as you go on into the workforce. The Gilman Scholarship itself is up to $5,000. The amounts do vary and it will be dependent on various things that we'll go over in a little while. They do cover the different program semesters that we may have, so fall, spring, summer, winter semesters, as well as academic year. They do award over 3,000 scholarships, so it is a really great opportunity. We do highly recommend that if you are eligible, we'll go over eligibility in just a bit, please make sure that you are applying. Like I said, amounts do vary. It depends on your financial need, the strength of the application. It is extremely crucial that your application is very strong, and the actual cost of your program. Something that we get asked a lot, about 1 in 4 students are actually awarded the scholarship. So again, we're hoping that following this session, you'll actually go forth with completing an application. Aside from the Gilman Scholarship, there is an additional Critical Need Language Award up to $3,000 that you can access if you are doing a critical need language through your program. This could be that you're taking language courses to pick up on the language, or you are taking classes in that language. There are a few caveats to this. We'll go over it a little bit more later, but something to be aware of is you must be studying the language in the country where that is the majority spoken language. For example, you cannot go to Spain and study Mandarin and have the Critical Need Language Award. You'd be needing to be somewhere in China where Mandarin is the main language. We won't be going over the Critical Need Language Award as much in this presentation. If you do have any questions, again, there's more information on the website and you can reach out to us individually afterwards. So Gilman eligibility. Are we actually eligible to be applying for the scholarship? In order to apply, you must be a US citizen. It is out of the Department of State, and it is a US government funded scholarship. You must be an undergraduate student, a federal Pell Grant recipient, either at the time of your application, so if you're applying with the current March cycle, you must currently be a Pell Grant recipient, or at the time that you'll be going abroad. You must go on a credit-bearing program. So we do have tons and tons of opportunities for credit-bearing programs through education abroad, be it an exchange, a faculty-led, an affiliate provider, anything like that. We can always help you ensure that your program is credit-bearing. You must be going to a country or area that has an overall travel advisory level of 1 or 2. Currently, if you apply and you see that it is a higher level, just note that that level must be 1 or 2, at least, I believe, a month. Somebody will correct me if I'm wrong. Prior to actually traveling, it must be at the correct level. And the program has to be a minimum of 21 days. Currently, the Gilman Scholarship is also accepting any virtual international internship and study abroad programs. So that's a really great opportunity that's come about since we are having more virtual opportunities. And yes, we do have virtual opportunities going out of education abroad with our affiliate providers. So again, we can help you with all of this if you're interested. There's sounds like basically only 2 steps to actually applying for the Gilman. They are pretty lengthy. So first of all, you have to have your study abroad program. So any education abroad program that you are taking part on, so that's where we'll come in as education abroad, helping you determine that in conjunction with other members here at A&M. You'll have to complete the 3 required essays as part of your application. You have to submit transcripts. These can be official or unofficial in order to actually just submit it for your application to be considered and reviewed. And then you have to select advisors. You have to select a study abroad advisor and a financial aid advisor. For your education abroad or study abroad advisor, it'll be somebody within our office or somebody who you're working directly with. So please just review. There'll be a drop down. You'll see names. And if you have any questions about who your advisor is, you can always contact us. Same with your financial aid advisor. The second step is the advisor certification. So your education abroad and your financial aid advisors will access your application after it is complete, review that everything that you are saying actually matches what is currently on record for us, and certify your application as being one that is viable in terms to be then reviewed. Onto the essays. And again, tips and tricks will be coming with Daniela a little bit later, but just to give you an idea of what those essays actually are. Your statement of purpose, you have to look at that as basically an opportunity for you to do your personal interview. You don't actually get to meet with anybody, and the people who are in the selection panel can be from all around the nation. So it's really your opportunity to share who you are and what your reasons for studying abroad are. You have to connect those different levels of you as an individual, your program, and your academic, professional, and personal goals. Please remember, the whole point of this is to be very academically and globally focused. So you want to talk about specific goals that you have to relate to that academic and professional outcome. Yes, we understand that everybody's excited. We're going to be traveling and abroad. We're going to maybe get to do some visits and everything. But really what they want to know is the academics of what you are doing. Oh, I apologize. Apparently we decided that we are pausing our presentation, or at least my computer decided that. All right, we're back on track. So once again, you're talking about your goals directly. You can mention the fact that this will be really impactful in terms of funding your experience, but please note, because this is a high financial need requirement for the application, that isn't the only thing you should focus on. You really need to talk about what challenges you have faced and how you've met them in the process of finding your program and determining how you're going to go abroad, and how you may face challenges abroad and meet those while you're abroad as well. The second essay is the first of the what's considered community impact essays. This one is on building mutual understanding. So you have to consider, what is it going to mean for you to be a US citizen abroad? You are basically a diplomat. You are a citizen diplomat of the US and the Gilman Scholarship Program. So you want to ensure that you're putting your best foot forward and showing what that means for you, and how you're going to seek opportunities to continue to be engaged with your local community and bring information back and forth and really serve as kind of a liaison in a globalized world. Finally, show that you will be seeking opportunities to have those meaningful interactions, not just within your classroom, but how you'll connect with the local community outside of just your classroom to really enhance those skills. Then there is the follow-on service project proposal. As part of the Gilman Scholarship, you are expected post-program to return and do a follow-on service project that is going to enhance and further develop the Gilman Scholarship Program and in our student interaction with education abroad in general. They're looking for creativity and feasibility on your follow-on project. So please note that we are here to help you. If you have any questions about this or need any ideas, we will have tips again later and also sent out to you via email that will help you determine what some of those may be. But you are reiterating about being an effective citizen diplomat while abroad, but also how you will continue to serve in that role once you return, to really inspire others to pursue study abroad and engage with the Gilman Scholarship Program. This can be done either on campus with A&M, or it can be in your local community, in whichever way you're going to better connect with your peers. We recommend, think about who your audience are, what tools you have to actually make this happen, and your timeline. This is to be completed 6 months post your program, so you have to keep all of those things in mind. Again, there will be more information on this just around the corner. Finally, we do want to note that the Critical Need Language Award is another essay. It's the 4th essay. If you are interested in it and you are meeting that critical language need or critical need language portion of it, if you're actually studying one of the many languages that are deemed that. So you have to go again to a country where that language is predominantly spoken, not just a country where you can study a language from another place. And be really clear about how that relates to your academic and career goals. Are you learning Arabic because you plan to then go and serve in an Arabic country? Things like that are going to be really important and crucial in actually determining why this language is important to you. What are your motivations as well for that language proficiency? It can be academic, professional, or personal, but just please make sure that you're really reiterating and clarifying why it's important and the academic and professional development goals that you have and how you're going to be meeting those. It is really important. You don't have tons of space in each of these essays, so it's important to be really clear about them. We're on to selection criteria. So a couple of things to be, or a few things to be aware of for this is, first, you have your impact of program and destination on your academic and career trajectory. So once again, you have to successfully demonstrate that link between the program that you are doing and its activities and how it connects to your future academic and career goals. You have your community impact abroad and upon your return home. That's with that whole, how am I going to really interact with everybody and be fully immersed in my local culture where I'm abroad as a US citizen diplomat? And then how am I going to return home, do that follow-on project and really show that I'm going to be able to help bring awareness of the Gilman Scholarship and education abroad upon return. Show your academic preparedness. So, you want to really show that you are committed to the academic parts of this program. Again, we understand that studying abroad is really exciting. It does open up the opportunity for you to visit many more sites than you would if you were just staying within the US. But what's really important is, why is this so important for your academics and for your career goals? And how are you really facing any challenges you think you may face while abroad? And be clear about what you think they may be, what your plan is to overcome it, and how you're learning from this. Diversity of background and experience is really important because, again, they are trying to get participation from the broadest group of American undergraduate students who have high financial need and will benefit from the experience of studying abroad through the various levels of knowledge, skill development, and experiences. Because they are looking for this diversity, this is where we are looking at underrepresented groups from study abroad. So again, first gen, racially and ethnically diverse students, high financial need, all of those are really important, as well as any experience, how you will get experience and how your current experience has led you to this point. If you are interested in that critical need language, then you have that additional commitment to the proficiency in that language. So again, why are you committed to this language and how will you get there? On to finally deadlines and timelines. I know everybody's mostly here just to know how to write an essay, so we're just around the corner from that. The Gilman does have two different cycles for applications. We are currently on the March cycle. So the March 2021 deadline is March 2nd. For any program that is starting May 2021 to April 2022. That means any program that is a summer 2021, fall 2021 academic year 2021 to 2022, and spring 2022 programs. When you apply on that March 2nd deadline, your advisors then have a week to then complete our own certification process. So please, and we do get email reminders, but you're welcome to follow up if you have any questions as we're going through that certification process as well. For anybody who is thinking of a spring 2022 program and is interested in instead applying in October, you definitely can do that. There will be, again, the cycle in October, and that'll be for spring, summer, and fall 2022 programs and academic year 2022 to 2023. All of these deadlines, the most important thing to note is that it is 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. We are in Central time. So please make sure as you're completing your applications that you're meeting the correct deadlines. All right, this is the time everybody's probably most been excited about. I'm gonna turn it over to Daniela, our Gilman Alumni Ambassador, to tell you a little bit more about herself and do the tips of the program.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. So my name is Daniela. Most people call me Danny. I received the Gilman 2017, so that was sophomore going into my junior year at Florida State University. It was really a whirlwind. Just a little bit of background on me. I was studying biomathematics, and I did get my bachelor's in biomathematics. And in that time, I had a lot of free space in my schedule. So I said, well, rather than just fulfill my foreign language, requirement for my school, maybe I should do a minor. And that minor is what led me to find my study abroad program in Paris, France. And then as I kept researching for different financial aid that can allow me to partake in this incredible experience, one of the officers actually at my honors college was like, hey, the Gilman Scholarship is something you should apply to. The only thing is it's due in a day and a half. And I said, oh my gosh, a day and a half. So somehow we managed to get it together, and blessed be, I received the scholarship. It impacted my life in so many ways. After going to Paris, France, and studying there for a month, as you could see from the picture in the back, I just love it because I met people from all over the world. From the left, one woman was from Jordan, then Taiwan, Czech Republic, Israel. Everyone from all over was coming to the school I was studying at. It was in English, the Catholic Institute of Paris. And we just enjoyed it so much. So I went on to do the major in French. So then I became a double major. And then to top it all off, I just couldn't graduate college without going back to France. So then I did an exchange program in Grenoble, France, which is this like small city in the south east most part of France that's connected to the Swiss Alps. So just two totally different experiences too. I was in the city versus mountains, and I just couldn't be more thankful. I became fully fluent in French. And I mean, let me see what else. I was also in the Direct Connect program to medical school, which I'm going to talk about a little bit on how you can really make your essay stand out. And then going on these various adventures in France made me realize how much I love languages. And studying math, I realized everything in my life is connected to foreign languages, really. And I was taking computer science. So here I am now in Dallas, Texas, deciding not to pursue the medical degree, but instead do the Teach for America program, teaching math and pursuing a master's in computer science. So it really changed the trajectory, and I hope that it has the same impact on you. And, there's no good or bad thing like, oh man, she was going to go to medical school. I am so happy, and I love all the decisions I made. And the fire that kicked everything off and just gave me so much happiness was going to Paris, France, which would not have been possible without the Gilman Scholarship. So let's go ahead and talk about the essays. Okay, so the statement of purpose. This really is like when you are applying to graduate school, or if you could remember when you were applying to Texas A&M for your undergrad, it's kind of along the same lines. But of course, rather than why you'd be great for going to Texas A&M, it's going to be why are you great for representing the U.S. abroad, which we'll get a little bit more in the community impact, but why that program fits you, why that program is connected to your career and academic goals. Not only that program, which is X amount of days, X amount of months, but why specifically that country? So to give you an example for me, because I was in this very, very heavy pre-med track, in addition to knowing another language, in addition to Spanish, France was part of it was the founding country of Doctors Without Borders, Médecins Sans Frontières. So that's why I really wanted to go to France. I wanted to shadow doctors and just get to know more about the program. Share how you'll be academically successful on your program. I think it's very, very important to do research as well on your program, what country you're going to. France, for example, their grading system works off of 20 or 21 marks. I can't remember. But the average marks and what most people get is between 10 and 12. So almost the expectation is that you're going to be at about 50%, which is very scary. I think our American system has, I guess, made us comfortable with being able to get an A. But the good thing to remember is, like, with this is that it's curved for the American system. So I think it's important to look into that as well. Do you give examples of experiences, skills, and knowledge that you will use to meet the program challenges? Do you address the abroad experience, how the abroad experience will impact your future? So again, just thinking about, why is it that I really want to go to this country? Why is it that I want to do this program? So again, mine, it was study abroad, 1 month, and it was an intensive French program. So we were immersed for 8 hours in the language. So just being very specific with explaining in many ways your program, as well as how it's going to help propel you in the future, is going to be really vital to the statement of purpose. And before we move on to the next slide, the other thing I really want to say is that when you're going through these essays, have it reviewed by everyone. And don't be like me, who only has a day and a half to get this done. Granted, it wasn't my fault, but still, don't do that. Get started early, and which is great. You all are here and are learning about it early. So congratulations for being Kickstarters and getting everything ready for studying abroad. Get it read by staff at your English and Writing Center. Get it read by me, who has partaken in the program and is now working as an ambassador. I'm happy to read and edit any of your essays. And also get it read by people totally outside of like this, like outside of, how do I say this? Anyone who doesn't even know about the Gilman Scholarship. That way they can also check your logic. Like, does it make sense? Someone who doesn't even know about what it is you're trying to go on, can they understand, oh, I can see how your program relates to where you want to go in life? So it's a great way as a self-checking system to get someone who doesn't have any idea about you, what you are, like what the Gilman Scholarship is. The other thing I want to say too before moving forward is that this essay is 7,000 characters. So I believe double space, it's about 1 to 1.5 pages. And that's not a lot. So you're going to have to make sure that every single word counts when you're writing this. That's very, very important. And I think one more thing, I keep saying one more thing because there's just so many things to remember. Everyone who is applying to this has a diverse experience, right? So students who are applying are receiving Pell Grants. So most of the students are demonstrating financial need. So it's important not to say that, hey, I have financial need. It's, how did my financial need make me into a strong person, make me into someone who can conquer adversity? And because of my ability to conquer adversity, I know I will be successful in studying abroad in a whole new experience, or being an exchange student completely by myself. I am completely ready because of what I faced before. So turning your background into statements of strength, because really it is, any experience you've gone through in life is a building period. It's helped you build some skill in your life. So being sure to emphasize that, because your background and experience is unique only to you. There's only one you, and there's only one you who has gone through what you've gone. So be sure to stay true to who you are and be honest, because there's so many essays that they're going to read. So being true to who you are, it's going to make for a unique essay, which is going to make for a pleasing essay, a very interesting to read essay. So we can go on to essay number 2. So the building mutual understanding essay. So this is your community impact. You're gonna have 2 community impact essays really. So Something interesting to know when you're going abroad that I didn't understand very well when I did was that, I mean, you are a diplomat when you're abroad. You are representing the United States of America, which is why this program was instituted in the first place. They wanted to make sure that around the world, they have people from everywhere have a good understanding of what America represents. And that is that we're a melting pot. So that's why they want to support everyone being able to go and take on an experience, people who couldn't do it without financial help. So be sure you're asking yourself when you're writing this, and this one's 3,000 characters. So the next one, which we'll go to in a second, the follow-on service project is 3,000, and this one's 3,000, so it's a total of 6,000 characters. How you will contribute to the goal of building mutual understanding. So for example, me going to school with a variety of people from different countries was an incredible way for me to see the world through a different lens. And it's also incredible to see how, you know, every time it's like, I'm here trying to practice French, and every time they meet me, they're trying to practice English because they know I'm American. So, you know, and that was something so also new to me. It was incredible, you know, because English is the business language of the world. So it's just such a powerful way to, I guess it made me really proud going abroad. It made me proud that, number one, you know, coming from an immigrant family, that now I am traveling to a different country, you know, to study abroad. It was a dream come true. And now to see a whole different perspective than what I was given, it was just so great. Last thing, you want to discuss how you're going to look for opportunities to build meaningful relationships and become more culturally engaged. So that's not necessarily saying, hey, you need to meet people from all over the world in this country. No, it's how are you going to visit cultural landmarks and become immersed into the culture that you are going into, the country that you're going to. So just being aware of that, and doing a lot of research. I think research is really important for this one. Knowing a lot of background on where you're going and why is going to help you answer this a lot more fluidly. Okay, number 3. So the follow-on service project. This one is very tough because it's abstract, right? You're having to come up with something that is not concrete right now. And you have to prove to the Gilman Scholarship that it is something that is feasible and can be concrete. So for me, let me just give you an example. I was heavily in the medical industry. So my follow-on service project was to speak at FSU's College of Medicine and discuss why studying foreign languages in your undergrad before going to medical school is vital, because number one, when you know a foreign language and you're able to speak to patients, maybe not perfectly, but even somewhat in their own language, it's going to make them more comfortable. A patient who's more comfortable is going to probably share a little bit more, and someone who shares a little bit more is giving you more data, right? And more data means a more accurate diagnosis. So that was how I approached my follow-on service project, and that is what I did when I returned to the States. And what I found was that, again, because it was all new to me, I didn't realize it, but what I realized why mine worked really well was because I was working within my sphere of influence. So because I was involved with the College of Medicine already, it was obvious to the committee that it is something that I could do, and do it in a timely manner. So I think when you're trying to figure out your follow-on service project, it's really important that you ask yourself, what organizations am I a part of? What extracurriculars am I a part of? What communities am I a part of? And then build off from there. Because if you realize what you are really integrated in now, it's going to be a lot easier to see like, oh, I could do this with my group, or hey, we could volunteer maybe at this place after studying abroad. And, you know, maybe I could take my whole club to the International Center and we can all learn a French lesson together. So I think that's really important, tapping into your current community that you're involved in. And I will say too, I understand it's probably very difficult right now with COVID, with a lot of lack of social interactions, and just thinking about how am I even going to do anything given the uncertainties of our time. And so if you're a little stuck, I hear you out, and I'm happy to brainstorm with you. So if you find that writing this essay is posing you difficulty, please reach out to me or anyone here leading this, and I'm sure we can all help you figure out something, because I think everyone can agree this is a difficult time, and we want to help you be successful and achieve your dreams. So just make sure that you give a very detailed plan for this project and how the study abroad experience ties to this project. And I would say as well, speaking about who will be there. So is the intended audience going to be your club? Is it going to be the College of Arts and Sciences? Are you going to hold something? I will say I had to put up flyers all around FSU, and it took quite a bit of work. So the good thing I will say with COVID is at least you can do a whole bunch of advertisements online now, so it makes things a little easier to get the word across. So hopefully that encourages you a bit. But I think that's it. The only other thing I do want to mention, which was already said, was the Critical Needs Language Scholarship. You'll have to do another essay for that. And the other thing too, something that's new this year, is the McCain Gilman Scholarship. So if you have any ties to if any family member was in the military, you are eligible for, I believe it's separate. They're $5,000 flat. I should have fact checked it before this, but I think it's a $5,000 flat X amount of scholarships with the Gilman. Critical Needs Language, however, is an extra, I want to say $3,000 on top of what you can get from the Gilman normally. So just really awesome ways to fund your dreams. So if you didn't think it was possible before, like, how am I going to get this money together? I hope you think it's possible now. And as already said, as too, 1 in 4 chance, okay, 25%. Maybe that's a little scary, but worst case scenario, you have to apply again. That's okay. Chances are you're going to get it that time. You can apply as many times as you need to until you get the scholarship. And once you get the scholarship, you can only use those funds once, if that makes sense. You can't continue to get the scholarship. So I hope that helped a little bit. I will pass the torch back because I know there's probably questions, and yeah, I want to make sure we have time to answer those.
Yeah, thank you so much, Daniela. I'm sure we're definitely going to have questions. I'm sure students are going to want to connect with you specifically as well, but we wanted to make sure that you had access to the resources that are available for you as you continue through the process of applying to the Gilman Scholarship. So application details are on their website. That's gilmanscholarship.org. Daniela has her contact information here as well. You can email her and she's more than happy to help you. She's been amazing. And you can always reach out to us in our office. You can go to our website to find out more, from searching for programs, how to fund a program, identity-based resources while you are abroad, and as well as going through the process of scheduling an appointment with your education abroad advisor if you need to. All of that is available online. There are different ways for you to stay connected with us. And again, as Education Abroad, we are here to support any international experience that you are looking to have. So please make sure that you are following us in whatever social media you prefer so that we can continue to give you information as regularly as we receive it. Same with the Gilman Scholarship. They do have their global experience blog. So if you're interested in learning more about other experiences that students have had, please make sure to follow them as well. Finally, we have time for questions now. I will be turning off my screen share just so that I can actually see everybody, but please feel free to either chat in your questions or unmute so that you can ask your questions if you'd rather do that in voice. As a reminder, we are recording, so if you do decide to speak up, this part is recorded.
Right. Ami, we have about 5 or 6 questions that we received in the chat already. So the first question, it was, for an academic year, would we come back home during the summer? How do your breaks and free time work with an academic year study?
So for academic year, the way that you're looking at it is the academic like fall, for example, this academic year would be fall 2021, we are in 2021, to spring 2022. So within your program, depending on how that foreign institution's academic calendar looks, you will have breaks in between that you can return to home. Some of that will vary on whether or not you're going to be doing some other travel and everything, but for the most part, you do have breaks in between, and you can travel home during those breaks or have your family visit you if possible. But it does depend by where you're going. We do have, for example, some exchange partners, and you're going to those institutions, and their academic calendars will look a little different from the American system. So if that's the case, you just have to make sure that you're aware of what those break times actually are.
The next question was, will the slides be posted anywhere or sent to the people who registered?
Yes, we are planning to share slides for anybody that would like to look through things. It also will have obviously all of the contact information. We will be sending as well and posting on our website a handout that actually has lots of details on those tips and tricks on the essays that we've created for all of you that will be available for you, so you don't have to just continuously watch this recording in order to get all of that or review the presentation. You will have a full document that goes over a lot of that as well.
There's a question about what kind of GPA is Gilman looking for?
Oh my gosh, I completely forgot to mention that. So because this is more trying to ensure diversity in students and high financial need access, there isn't an exact GPA minimum requirement. You're going to have to be in good standing with your institution in order to be eligible to study abroad. So that's really what they're looking for.
I always tell students that Gilman is an academic scholarship, but they're not looking for like honor students.
Right.
So really what they want to know is, why did you pick this program? Why this country? And how does that tie into your academic plan? And how does that tie into your future grad school or career goals?
Yeah.
There was another question for eligibility. Do you have to meet all of those requirements, such as, like, does your program have to be 3 weeks, or do you have to be a Pell Grant recipient?
Yeah, so those requirements are pretty set. We did say, it is the minimum 3 week for us. It is, if you look online, it may say something slightly different. It depends on the institution you're in. We are a 4-year institution, so we do have that requirement for the, or not us, the Gilman has the requirement for the program to be met in that way. The Pell Grant recipient, once again, it doesn't mean you have to be one currently, but if you can prove that you will be a Pell Grant recipient at the time that you'll be studying abroad when you apply, they will accept that as well.
And
So,
can I
go ahead.
mention about go back to the GPA question? I just wanted to mention too that, like Ami said, there is no minimum GPA. However, the selection criteria does include academic preparedness. And as someone who served on the scholarship selection committee and read essays, what we're looking for is, if you do have part of your application includes submitting your transcript and your grades. And so if you do have a lower GPA and you're worried about that, don't ignore that in your essays, address it. Mention it in your essay that, I went through this challenge, but this is how I'm overcoming it, and this is how I think Gilman will help me. And this is how I'm academically prepared.
Right.
Good point. I started off with engineering, realized math wasn't my friend. Now I'm political science and I'm thriving. Something like that. So there is a question that was posted. Do you recommend waiting to submit your application later or closer to the application deadline, especially if the travel advisory level where they're planning to study is currently a level 3 or a level 4? It's not 1 or 2.
That's a really good question. I would say that I think what's most important, less than, how close to the deadline are you doing it? Because again, if your country is currently at a not level 1 or 2, it has to reach that point at least a month prior to your departure. So they are aware of that aspect of it. But what I would say is see it less as, in terms of when are you submitting it, and more on, is your application ready to be submitted? So like Daniela mentioned, please make sure that you are having other people read through your essays. I know it doesn't sound like much, and you're like, it's just a page and a half for one of them, and it's just like a page for the other two. It really is going to make such a drastic difference. I haven't served on the Gilman Scholarship panel, but I've served on various others, and trust me, there's a very drastic difference between somebody whose essay looks very polished and somebody, you can tell when you're reading through so many different essays who's taking the time to polish their essay and who's just submitting it more of unprepared. So just please make sure that you are doing that.
I think like looking at the timeline. So for example, right now, the application is due March 2nd. Some students are not going to be going abroad until next spring. So you're submitting your application in March, and maybe the country that you're looking at is a level 3, but you're not going to be going abroad until January 22. So what Gilman typically does is, as you get closer to, so if you are awarded, as you get closer to your departure date within that 4-week period, they'll go back in and look at what level your country is, and then they'll give you the opportunity to see if you want to switch to a different program or if you decline the scholarship. And so you, depending on when you're going, you will have some time to see how things pan out.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you guys. That's my question. I'm going abroad for May. I go abroad in May. I'm going to Spain. I did decide to go to Barcelona. Thank you, by the way. Amar helped me.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, the travel advisory is at a 3, and I know you guys need a 2. So I'm gonna apply either way. I was texting the people in the chat with Gilman last semester, and I was like, so should I just wait? Like, if I apply now, does it make more sense to apply next semester? And one of them was like, you could apply now. It doesn't like hurt, but there's always next semester. So yeah. I'm gonna try, and then I guess it's up to me like to decline. If my travel advisory is still at a 3, then I have to decline it.
That's correct.
That makes sense. It makes sense. Thank you.
So there's another question of once you submit your application, when do you find out if you've been awarded, or if you're selected as an alternate, if you didn't get the scholarship? What's the application timeline?
Drew, I think you know it better than I do, because I just completely blanked out on that.
Daniela, do you remember?
That's a good question. I think it's on a rolling basis. We did a podcast 2 weeks ago, and there was an official representative from the scholarship, and she was saying that, like in terms of distribution of the funds, even, there's no set time. It's just as they get the applications in, it starts to go and review in a month. I believe it's about a month to 2 months. You'll at least have a notification. And it's usually the funds are distributed well in advance of you leaving. So that's the most of which I know. I don't think that there is a set day of like, hey, it's going to be distributed a month before or X amount of time before. So that's what I remember, but I can double check right now as we're moving through other questions.
So I haven't done this recently, so I might be a little rusty, and also things might have changed. But in the past, what would happen is they typically go and review the summer students first. Then they'll review like the fall students. So usually summer students would find out sometime in April or May, depending on how things go. So they'll do like the initial offers to students. Okay, you've been awarded, you're an alternate, no, you weren't selected. And then those people who were awarded typically have like a timeline for them to get all their paperwork in to accept the scholarship. And then if they decline, then they go to the next batch of people who were selected as alternates. So they kind of do like summer first, take care of them. In the past, I don't know if this is the case this year, but in the past for the fall students, usually fall students found out about late May, early June, but then just depending how things work, you might find out a little bit later if you were like an alternate. And the students who would be going like winter, spring of next year, they probably would find, because Gilman just recently changed, um, allowing people to apply much earlier than what they've had in the past. So I'm not quite sure when they would notify the spring or winter people, but I would imagine it was probably going to be a little bit after they wrap up with the fall and summer folks.
I will say I just checked the official like word from
Yeah.
Gilman, and it says an email notification comes through for this cycle of applications, summer of 2021. So exactly, I was saying like May to August timeline. So I hope that helps. Also, I don't know if we mentioned this or if Texas A&M is allowing this, but they do, like, I know you're Maya, we're talking about it's at a level 3. Of course, it would be a bummer if you had to do it virtually, but I know that Gilman is still funding programs that are done virtually.
Good
But
point.
I would like for you to go to Barcelona.
Right. I think
Thank you. Me too.
Yeah, I think we answered this question, but just in case we hadn't, where can people find the recording?
Yeah, so we will be sending this. It's not going to be right the moment this ends. We were playing around and testing how the recording was happening before we started. So we just gotta potentially cut out a couple of little funny parts. But in hopefully maybe in the next week or so, you'll have access to it. We do want it to be readily available for anybody who wasn't available to actually join here, but you will also receive an email for having registered that it is available, so you'll have access to it, and you'll have access to the recording and to a handout that we have actually created to expand on the tips and tricks that are on the actual slides. So the recording, the slides, and the handout will be available.
So there was a question, if we're not planning to study abroad until summer 2023, so 2 summers from now, when is the earliest we should begin planning to go abroad?
2023. It's never too early, honestly, because you do want to talk to your academic advisor to tell them, I am going to study abroad at some point, and I want that to be summer 2023, and I want you to help me build this into my degree plan. That's something that if you want to do that tomorrow, you absolutely can, just to ensure that you know what is your flexibility within your schedule. Depending on your major, well, anybody can study abroad. Depending on your major and how rigid it may be, there may be some courses that you absolutely have to take at A&M and some courses you can take abroad. So you want to be aware of that beforehand and then go through the process of researching programs. Typically, students are doing this about a year out. We do have students that do this about a month out. We don't recommend that. We want to make sure that we are giving you the most support and make everything that you have to look through more feasible and a lot less overwhelming. So we would say at least a year in advance, but as early as you are possibly ready to start.
Yeah, you want to give yourself time not only to plan academically for the program, but financially. So looking at what are potential programs that you're considering, how much they cost, and kind of figuring out what your financial plan for the program is. So just kind of take some of the stress out of the process for the program academically and financially. So Drew, this is a question for you. So someone heard that you served as an application review panelist. So what was something that stood out among the applicants, and is there a common trend to avoid?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'd say one of the trends that I would avoid and that I kind of saw sometimes in the essays that weren't as great as some others, is when students talk about how they can't wait to go to their country so they can travel and they can spend time traveling and they can see Europe and they can travel around and have fun. You want to remember that this is an academic scholarship and you want to tie the academic aspect into your application and just talk about your interest in traveling. So avoid that. What's really is when you are specific. Being specific and answering the prompts is really helpful for a panelist because that gives us an idea of what your interests are, how it relates to your career goals, and how this program will help you. So if you can be specific and give us something that's memorable and interesting that isn't very cliche, like I want to travel and I want to see the world, then that would be a good tip from my experience.
Yeah, I've served on the selection panel as well. I haven't done it recently, but I've served on it twice, and I don't know what it was like when you did it, Drew, but when I reviewed summer applicants, I got like a batch of anywhere from like 30 to 50 essays to review, students to review, and each student at that time only had 2 essays, and now everyone has like 3 or 4. And so a few of the things that when you have that many to review, those who are really good rise to the top, and those who are kind of so-so and those who really weren't putting the effort really stand out. So a few things I would say is that just because they say you have 7,000 characters, don't fill it all just to try to reach that point, because it's nothing worse than to have someone just putting in information or words rather, just to fill to meet the word quota. And that's the maximum. So if you don't need that much space for you to say, I'm planning to go to this country because of XYZ reason, this is how it's going to help me in my degree plan and make me more competitive, blah, 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 then don't really invest a lot of time and effort in putting that in. Something else, when you're talking about travel, you need to be strategic. So Gilman really wants to, well, by the nature of the population that Gilman is targeting receiving a federal Pell Grant, it means that you meet a certain, where you don't have a certain plethora of money laying around. So because of that, they don't want to fund students who are like, I just really want to go abroad so I can travel. And it's like, well, if you need money, then and all you want to do is travel, then clearly you don't need this scholarship because you've got all these other travel plans and it's not like more of a meaty reason. In terms of being specific, just to kind of piggyback off of what Drew said, a good example I always give people is when people say, I'm going to go abroad because it's business related and it's going to help me become better in business. Well, business is a really broad field. So are you going to go into accounting? Are you going into financial forecasting? Are you working with companies to do business development, economic planning, or whatnot? And so the more you can kind of say, I picked this program because kind of like how Daniela said, France, her background was in medicine. France, that's where Doctors Without Borders originated. And so that is kind of like, I've always wanted to go to this place because there's this tie back to my major, but it's a really cool reason for you to be able to go and do that. So those are some things I would kind of point out. So there's another question. Will we be able to help you review or polish your essays before submitting them, or is there some place where they can go to have someone help them out with that?
Yeah, we definitely, I know, reach out to us in our office. Many of us are more than willing to help you and give you some feedback on your essays. Again, while not all of us have served on the Gilman panel, we've served on other review panels, so we can help you determine how to polish an essay. We highly recommend the University Writing Center because that's exactly what they're there for. It's to really make the strongest essay possible, to be the most direct and efficient to getting your point across. They're going to be an incredible resource for you. Like we said, Daniela is willing to also help you all. You can email her, schedule a time to meet with her. She can review your essay. She's really wonderful. She has the experience of having gone on the program, having gotten the actual scholarship, and can give you direct pointers on how it all kind of worked out for her. Same with any of us.
Ah. Um, so there was a question posted, which is great because I had it on my list of things to point out. So it said, how do we reach financial aid and education advisors to complete that section of the application? So Gilman is kind of funny in that they tell you you should reach out to people, and that's because each school is different. And usually what I tell students, you don't necessarily need to do that. And the reason why I said, at least for Texas A&M, is because financial aid doesn't want to be contacted. They're not going to respond to your message, nor are they going to follow up and tell you, hey, so-and-so, I wanted to let you know I certified your application. Typically for financial aid, they wait until the application deadline, which is March 2nd. We all get an email notification to say, hey, you have applications pending your certification. Please log into the portal to complete them. And then you get a reminder as you get closer to the certification deadline. So you as a student can log into the portal and contact and see who has completed your certification or not. But just know that it may sometimes people wait until like the day. If you're concerned about it, I would say probably reach out to your education abroad advisor at certifying your application, and we can always piggyback and figure out what's happening. As far as the education abroad advisors, all of our contact information is on our website at abroad.tmu.edu.